American F-16 fighters are not immune to enemy air defenses, tactical errors or random factors. This is how aviation expert Anatoly Khrapchinsky commented on the recent loss of the aircraft in an interview with Obozrevatel. We have already lost Su-24, MiG-29, Su-27 combat aircraft that also operate in the highest risk zone. War is always about losses, no matter how technologically advanced the machine is. This is no guarantee of its immortality, he noted. According to the expert, as of May 2025, the Ukrainian Air Force has recorded many cases of combat use of F-16s, and each of them was an extremely complex mission. Such aircraft operate not in the rear, but on the front line, under constant threat from Russian long-range SAM systems like the S-400, as well as electronic warfare systems. Therefore, the most important thing in such news is not that hardware was lost, but that the pilot is alive, and we will receive the equipment, we will buy it. The main thing is to save the people who know how to fight on it, Khrapchinsky emphasized. He also noted that at the moment, another stage of the war has begun. We are no longer just waiting for equipment. We are reaching the level of tactics and strategy for its use. And in such conditions, public arithmetic is a hint to the enemy, not to society. We need to learn to talk about the result, not the quantity. Therefore, the main thing is not how much, but how and when. And in this, Ukrainian pilots are already giving their first correct answers. Recall Ukrainian Prime Minister Denis Shmyhal met with his Czech counterpart Petr Fiala in Uzhhorod. According to Shmyhal, the two leaders agreed to cooperate in the training of Ukrainian F-16 fighter jet pilots. According to Shmyhal, the meeting with Fiala covered a wide range of issues, including security, economic cooperation, Ukraine's European integration, and the country's recovery. We will strengthen the integration of Ukrainian and Czech defense industries. In addition, we agreed to cooperate in training Ukrainian F-16 pilots. Shmyhal added, Belgium intends to deliver F-16 fighter jets to Ukraine ahead of schedule, the country's defense minister Theo Franken said. At the same time, Belgium is considering the possibility of participating in the peacekeeping mission, which is being formed within the framework of the so-called Coalition of the Willing. Regarding the F-16 aircraft, we were and remain part of the coalition, and we will try to transfer these fighters even earlier than planned, the minister said before the start of a meeting of the EU Council of Ministers for Foreign Affairs and Defence in Brussels.
Ukrainian defense forces have recently advanced in the Kursk region and near Borovaya and Toretsk. Meanwhile, Russian invaders are pressing near Chasov Yar, Toretsk and Novopavlivka, as well as in the Kursk region. This is reported by Institute for the Study of War. Recently, the Ukrainian defense forces have advanced in the Kursk region. Geolocation footage published on May 19 shows the Ukrainian defense forces advancing on the southern outskirts of Tyatkino, southwest of Glushkov. Meanwhile, Russian troops are also advancing in this direction. As geolocation footage from May 19 shows, the Russian army has advanced to the international checkpoint southeast of Tyatkino. Russian military intelligence claimed that the armed forces of Ukraine were allegedly unsuccessfully attacking Tyatkino and Novyi Put, southwest of Glushkov and east of Tyatkino. Ukrainian military observer Konstantin Mashavet stated that North Korean troops are no longer conducting assaults on the Kursk direction, and Russian troops are only episode ally deploying a North Korean contingent on Russian territory. Neither Ukrainian nor Russian ISW sources reported ground activity in the northwestern Belgorod region on May 19. On May 19, the Russian occupiers continued offensive operations in the north of Sumy region, but did not advance. Vadim Mysnyk, spokesman for the Seversky Group of Forces of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, reported that the Russian Federation is accumulating forces in the Kursk region and continues to advance with small groups of infantry along the international border between the Sumy and Kursk regions. Russian invaders continued limited ground attacks in northern Kharkiv Oblast on May 19, but were unsuccessful. On May 18 and 19, Russian troops stormed the area of Vovchansk and Vovchansky Kuturi. On May 18, a Russian blogger stated that the Ukrainian armed forces counterattacked near Lyptsy. On May 19, the Russian occupiers continued to advance in the Kupiansk direction, but did not advance. Russian troops attacked along the international border in the Stroivka area and in the Kharkivka area. A spokesman for the Ukrainian brigade operating in the Kupiansk direction reported that the Russians had reduced the size of their infantry assault groups from 5 to 6 to 2 to 3 people, and that the enemy continues to prefer the use of buggies, motorcycles, and all-terrain vehicles over armored vehicles during the assault. The head of the Kupiansk District Military Administration, Andriy Kanashevich, stated that the Russian occupiers have increased the number and scope of air and artillery strikes on the Kupiansk district. The Russian military expert claimed that Putin's troops used Shahid drones, which are usually used to launch long-range strikes on the rear areas of Ukraine, to strike at Ukrainian armed forces targets in the Kupiansk direction. Recently, Ukrainian defenders advanced in the direction of Obozrevatel. The commander of the Ukrainian brigade reported that the Russians are trying to enter Torsky in strike groups of 2 or 3 soldiers, and that the armed forces of Ukraine are killing or wounding 80 to 90% of these groups. The United States has completed the production of the new powerful B-61-13 nuclear bomb, the Department of Energy reported on May 19. The Pantex plant has completed the first production unit of the B-61-13 nuclear gravity bomb, designed to strengthen the flexibility and credibility of America's nuclear deterrent, the department posted in its social media account. It described the production of the bomb as a major milestone for America's nuclear stockpile. The agency pointed to the remarkable speed of B-61-13's production, stressing that this achievement signals American strength to our adversaries and allies alike. It was my honor today to stamp the first completed unit at the Pantex plant in Amarillo, Texas, where all the efforts of NNSA's labs, plants, and sites culminated in this amazing milestone. This achievement signals American strength to our adversaries and allies alike, Secretary of Energy Chris Wright said in a statement. Completed around a year ahead of the schedule and based on the preceding B-61-12, the B-61-13 nuclear bomb offers important additional capacity to hold hardened targets, such as underground command and control facilities, and one spread across physically larger areas, according to U.S. officials. In 2023, the U.S. military announced plans to develop and field the B-61-13, primarily as a replacement for the B-61-7 variant. The Pantex plant in Texas serves as the primary site for assembling and dismantling U.S. nuclear weapons, while also handling testing and evaluation. The facility operates under the National Nuclear Security Administration, a branch of the Department of Energy responsible for managing the development and maintenance of the nation's nuclear arsenal. Speaking to the House Armed Services Committee on May 7, Acting NNSA Administrator Teresa Robbins announced that the agency expected to complete the first production unit of the B-61 Mod 13 later this month ahead of schedule. Robbins credited the accelerated timeline to the reuse of existing production infrastructure from the B-61 program.